So, here's what's really going down inside Montecito's most chaotic castle. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry aren't just facing a rough patch, they're basically dangling over the edge of a brand meltdown. We're talking no leadership, no clear plan, and apparently not even enough money to keep the lights on behind the scenes. People close to the operation are calling it a total disaster, and they're not mincing words anymore. What was once carefully packaged as a fairy tale post-royal power couple now looks more like a slow-motion crash everyone saw coming, except them. The second season of Meghan's passion project With Love, Meghan is set to drop soon, but you'd never guess it by the way Netflix is treating it. There's no promotion, no teaser rollouts, no buzz, just silence. That's rare for a platform that usually knows how to hype even the driest content. And when the studio itself doesn't believe in your show, what does that tell you? Insiders are whispering that the streaming giant isn't funding anything meaningful, and Meghan's inability to organize even basic logistics is reportedly making everything worse. She's built a brand around herself without any of the operational backbone needed to run one. And the worst part, this whole thing was always about selling Meghan, her image, her lifestyle, her dream. But what do you do when the public doesn't dream about you anymore? They just roll their eyes. Every time she opens her mouth, she alienates more people. And now she's trying to push a lifestyle brand at a time when her own lifestyle feels more like a punchline than a fantasy. That Instagram cooking video, supposedly authentic, homey, Gwyneth Paltrow style, instead felt forced, robotic, and let's be honest, awkward. Critics weren't just unimpressed. They were confused. Why would anyone buy into this? And vendors, they haven't been paid. Orders have gone unfulfilled. Customers are still waiting for refunds. It's not just poor management. It's turning into a reputational nightmare. People don't forget when they pay for something and never get it, especially when the person selling it is a multimillionaire ex-royal claiming to empower others while ghosting basic customer service. As for Harry, he's noticeably absent from this whole mess. He's not promoting the series, not appearing in any press releases, not standing by the brand. Some say it's by design. Netflix reportedly wanted them to separate professionally. Meghan was supposed to be the relatable one, the one with market appeal, but without Harry, she's floundering. And Harry, he's never been cut out for this world. Commercial ventures, branding, profit margins, it's never been his lane. He was born into royalty, pampered since birth, and trained in tradition, not capitalism. So the idea that he'd somehow swoop in and rescue this crumbling empire is just wishful thinking. That leaves the brand and the marriage in free fall. According to some sources, they're not just in trouble financially or publicly, but personally too. The toxicity isn't one-sided. You can't have one stormy personality and expect the other to be the calm. This is imbalance. It's combustion. And two people spiraling can't pull each other back from the brink. They drag each other deeper. There's talk that suppliers are holding back, unwilling to work on future runs because the current ones haven't been paid for. Even worse, some buyers who did manage to place orders for products through Meghan's brand still haven't received anything, not even communication. It's radio silence. And when the people on the ground, your vendors, your customers, your fans, feel duped, there's no celebrity glow strong enough to cover that up. Rob Shooter's report on Substack didn't sugarcoat anything. According to him, the entire brand is hanging by a thread, and he's not the only one saying it. There's talk that internally, Meghan and Harry's business world is a chaotic mess. Vendors haven't been paid in months. No leadership, no clear team structure, no financial backup plan. And as dramatic as it sounds, some people are actually asking whether this entire thing is a scam or just wildly incompetent. Either way, it's a disaster. Netflix, once the golden ticket in their post-royal journey, isn't playing ball anymore. The couple's deal may have made headlines when it was signed, but the honeymoon phase is long gone. Netflix did the research. They saw the declining numbers, the rising backlash, and the ever-growing list of controversies, and they pulled back. Meghan may still be pushing content, but with no marketing push and minimal budget, it's clear they're just letting it run its course quietly, almost like they want it to fail without the mess of publicly pulling the plug. Behind the scenes, it's even worse. Meghan's been accused of being controlling, dismissive, and totally out of her depth when it comes to actual business operations. People who've worked with her say she doesn't listen. She doesn't take advice. She confuses confidence with competence and thinks branding is just about pretty packaging, not actual value. Her image might have carried her through the Hollywood hustle, but in the real business world, that kind of charisma-only strategy doesn't pay invoices or deliver products. And then there's the reputation issue. Meghan has always tried to frame herself as the misunderstood underdog, the woman speaking truth to power. But that narrative is wearing thin. Between her falling out with her own family, the long list of ex-staffers who reportedly left in frustration, and the mounting PR disasters, public sympathy is in short supply. Even her old fans are starting to question the story. It's one thing to be ambitious, it's another to throw everyone under the bus on your way up. One particularly brutal quote making the rounds was that Meghan is trying to sell brain surgeon textbooks to people who haven't even finished basic biology. That's how disconnected her brand feels from her audience. She's aiming for aspirational but landing somewhere between out of touch and oddly bitter. The cooking video was just the latest example. Meant to be charming, it came off as stiff and joyless. There was no spark, no warmth, just a woman going through the motions, pretending to enjoy something she clearly doesn't. It didn't sell anything. Not food, not lifestyle, not even curiosity. Lady Colin Campbell, never one to hold back, laid into the situation with cutting precision. She described Meghan as someone who's climbed using both horizontal and vertical talents, but who never learned how to actually stay up there. Her point was brutal but clear. Meghan's rise was built more on image than substance. And now that the illusion is cracking, there's nothing underneath to keep the empire from falling. The most alarming claims aren't just about unpaid vendors. They're about regular customers, people who ordered products and never received them. No follow-up, no refunds, no accountability. It's one thing to have trouble paying your suppliers, but when buyers start reporting unfulfilled orders and radio silence from the company, it moves into dangerous territory. Not just ethically, legally. That alone is enough to tank a business. But add in an unlikable public persona, a crumbling marriage dynamic, and a streaming partner that's gone cold, and it's a recipe for commercial extinction. Harry, meanwhile, seems lost in his own fog. His appearances feel increasingly performative, like someone clinging to relevance without a real strategy. Recently, a supposed private letter of his, written in tribute to Prince Philip, somehow found its way into the hands of a media outlet. The story was presented as heartfelt, but the optics were bizarre. If it were genuinely private, why leak it? The timing was no coincidence either. The letter surfaced just as Meghan's series needed attention, raising eyebrows about whether this was another desperate attempt to stir sympathy or reclaim some royal association. Critics have been quick to point out how often Harry and Meghan's so-called private moments mysteriously land in public view. It's happened too many times to ignore, and in this case, the leak backfired. People weren't touched, they were irritated. Because trying to tap into the emotional weight of Prince Philip, a man they allegedly disrespected during his final days, isn't just tone-deaf, it's offensive. There's also the other PR stunt involving the Duke of Westminster, Hugh Grosvenor. A report circulated suggesting that he was attempting to reconcile Harry and William by naming them both godfathers to his daughter. It had all the makings of a feel-good royal reunion headline, until people who actually know the players involved pointed out how absurd it was. Hugh is loyal to William. The royal family considers Harry a liability now. The idea that anyone would voluntarily hand their child's spiritual guidance over to two feuding brothers, one of whom has publicly trashed the family, is laughable. The truth is, William wants nothing to do with Harry. That bridge is burned, maybe permanently. And it's not just about the interviews or the book. It's about trust. Every time Harry opens his mouth, he takes a match to another piece of what was once a complicated but private family dynamic. And now even people like Hugh Grosvenor, who've known them both for years, are keeping their distance. Meghan, on the other hand, has her own battlefield. Her past is starting to catch up with her in ways she didn't expect. Former staff members protected by NDAs and secrecy clauses are reportedly furious. If those legal walls ever fall, there's talk that more than 100 people could come forward with first-hand accounts of her conduct, especially during her time at the palace, We're talking about everything from mistreatment to public humiliation, including one notorious story involving her berating a staff member over an ironing issue, throwing fabric back at them in disgust. These aren't just petty workplace squabbles. They're part of a larger pattern that paints a deeply unflattering picture. Meghan isn't just difficult, she's divisive. And when you're trying to build a brand rooted in grace, elegance, and female empowerment, being known as a nightmare boss with a trail of burned bridges is a huge liability. And that brings us to the financial side. The couple has been portrayed as wealthy, but insiders insist their cash flow isn't what it seems. They may live like royalty, but they're not bankrolled like it. Big ticket projects require big ticket funding. And according to people familiar with their operations, Meghan and Harry simply don't have it. That's why vendors aren't being paid. That's why products aren't being shipped. That's why even basic logistics are crumbling. There's no war chest, no emergency vault, just image. And image doesn't pay invoices. So what's left? A fading brand, a fractured marriage, unpaid suppliers, disappointed fans, and a growing public narrative that this isn't a power couple. It's a cautionary tale, and unless something drastic changes, the final chapter may already be writing itself.